Welcome back to the Splash Talks podcast, and I'm your host, Sammy, and I'm here with my co-host, Cody.
What up, y'all?
It's just another episode, and on today's episode, we have a very special guest, and his name is Samuel Teresi. Samuel is a physical training specialist as well as a group training coach based in Los Angeles, California. Sam has struggled with mental health and depression since childhood. Through his years of experience, he has discovered the philosophies and tools necessary to break the negative patterns and turn his pain into purpose. Now his mission in life is to create hope and serve others through ownership of his own life experiences. So welcome to the pod, Sam.
Welcome, brother.
Man, stoked to be here.
Awesome. We're glad to have you, bro.
Glad to have you here, man. Let's get right into it, man. We're talking depression today, and that's a big issue that everybody in the world deals with. And so what I'd like to know is, when was the first time that you experienced depression?
Man, first time I experienced depression probably was sometime in my childhood. I don't remember the exact age, but I just knew that something was off with me. I didn't feel connected to, what I didn't even realize was my authentic self. And of course, I was too young to, have that awareness or that emotional intelligence at the time. But I would say sometime in childhood, I experienced depression for the first time, and it was like my energy completely shifted, and I felt like I didn't have a voice. I couldn't speak up, and I did not want to socialize as I typically did. So,
what did it feel like? Was it like the world was closing in, or you just felt like negative thoughts in your head? Was it more of a feeling, or was it just thoughts?
Yeah, both. When I felt that shift in my energy, I could feel it throughout my entire body. So it's extremely uncomfortable. It's like this intensity, this pressure, like it feels like this tension throughout your body. And at the same time, I had negative thoughts running through my mind, negative self-talk just on repeat. And
it's kind of like a broken record.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Where it's just like, as soon
Yeah.
as you get in the loop, you just hear negative thought after negative thought, and you just keep entertaining it. And it's almost like you're not in reality, right? Where it's just like negative, and you agree with each of the negative thoughts.
Exactly. You get stuck in this pattern, right? And it's just a continuous pattern. And it just goes and goes. And sometimes the self-talk gets so bad that it's just like, it's truly paralyzing. Like it paralyzes you both mentally and physically. And it's intense.
So like, take us back to high school. Like, what did that look like depression wise? What were you dealing with that, made that self-talk, that negative self-talk hit kind of hard and affect your life?
Yeah. So around that time, one thing that really drove me to a dark space was constant comparisons. I was constantly comparing myself to my peers. I was constantly comparing myself to my friends, to others around me. I grew up in like a predominantly Hispanic neighborhood, and so a majority of my friends were Hispanic. And and
You were in the hood.
my family was very different from a majority of my friends' families. My parents were married, still together, and I came from a Christian household. A lot of my friends came from a broken households, right? They came from broken families, mom and dad divorced, and so things were just ran differently around their household than mine. And so, my parents didn't want me doing certain things. They didn't want me watching certain things, getting involved in certain things that my friends' parents really could care less about, right? So I was always seeking out.
It was a free for all, right? Your friends were kind of like, whatever goes, goes.
Exactly. And so my escape was going over to my friends' houses, right? And, going and hanging out over there. and doing the things that I couldn't do at home, right? So
That was an open door to like a whole different world that
exactly,
you never seen before,
exactly,
right?
exactly.
What did that look
Yeah,
like?
man. Like a lot of my friends were, their parents were just very nonchalant with a lot of things, so we could watch whatever movies that we wanted. We could watch rated R movies. We could kind of talk how we wanted, at least when maybe not always when the parents are around, but we would, even some of my friends' parents would just talk, like a lot of cursing and just kind of talk, with a different slang and a different way of speaking than what I was used to. And so,
Mm.
Hmm.
when I would come home and I was around my family, I was constantly just making comparisons. I'm like, man, I wish my family was like this. I wish they talked like this. I wish they did things like this or allowed me to do, whatever I wanted. And so I was constantly stuck in comparisons, and that really stripped me of a lot of my joy in my childhood and didn't allow me
Mm.
to experience being a child that I believe God intended children to live. I didn't really get
Mhm.
that experience, like that joyful experience, because I was constantly stuck in comparison. And then it created a lot of hatred and resentment towards the people who were closest to me.
With this comparison, and you said you had some
Yeah.
resentment. How did that play out in your life?
Yeah.
Did this comparison drive you to destruct like some type of destructive
Yeah.
lifestyle? What
Yeah.
happened
Exactly.
with that?
Exactly. Exactly.
What type of things did you turn to
Yeah.
when you went through this depression?
Yeah. I turned to sex. I turned to drugs. I turned to alcohol. Uh, I
Hmm.
turned to various different things trying to seek that validation, right? And
The
trying
dopamine
to
hit.
ride that high, right? And so I was constantly seeking some type of external validation, and that just it was empty. It was just a continuous cycle, and I could never have enough alcohol. It got to a point where I was consistently blacking out. I could never have enough sex,
Mm.
so I could never be faithful in a relationship because I was
Wow.
always seeking more and more. And,
Mm.
you know, every partner that I was with was never enough, never looked good enough, never had enough of the body that I wanted. And so I was constantly just seeking more and more. And then, of course, porn elevated that to a whole nother level because, that
That's a drug.
becomes this fantasy. And, you want to
Yeah.
live out
It's limitless.
exactly.
When it comes to porn, like it's limitless
Yeah,
options. It's every wildest dream, every imagination that you never had
yeah,
exists in that
yeah.
world.
Hmm.
And are you the type of person that when you are depressed, do you like to be one with your pain or do you like to numb your pain?
Yeah. No, that's a fantastic question. And at this point in my life, now I like to be one with my pain because I've learned how to navigate through it. But at that particular time and throughout a long
At
and,
that
and at
time,
a long period of a majority of my life, I was numbing out the pain. So instead of leaning into it, I was trying to avoid it and numb it out with
Mm.
all of these different ways of doing that.
numbing your pain and turning to things, would you say that you didn't have the people around you that you needed to? Meaning, what was your social circles like in those times when you were
Yep.
destructive? Because before you answer your question, I know that when I was at my worst and when I was in the lowest points of my life, the people around me were not trying to better themselves. The
Mm.
people around me were just wilding out, partying, doing whatever they wanted, never looking to build
Mm,
anything. Cody, you can speak to that as
mm.
well, right? You know
Yeah.
friends in your life
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
that
Like everyone that was around me was about like the same thing. Like women, drinking, partying. I mean, that just like what he said, like you go I'm the same way. I like to not feel when I'm depressed or when I'm down or when I have these emotions, because the world, shows us we're supposed to be men. Men don't have feelings. We're supposed to be, hard and not have any emotion, which is a crock of BS, because we're humans. We all have emotions, man.
Yes.
So I'm the
Yes.
same way when I've been in those. But like you said, my circle was doing the same thing. So if they're not trying to better themselves and, feel emotions and, well, yeah, here, let me hit that 40, or here, pass it to me. Let's get it lit, and not feel emotions, and just keep suppressing, which is never a healthy
Because
coping mechanism.
I'm pretty sure when you're going through a tough time and you have people who are not in a great place in life, their first reaction when you're depressed is, oh, come on, man, let's go take some shots. Bro, you need to get out. We need to drink. We need to go do some.
Let loose. You need to get your mind off things. Yeah.
We need to
All
do
that.
some wild stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
back to that, Sam, did you have people around you who were pushing you towards more destruction rather than saying, hey, get out? Like, let's get out of this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I believe that you're a product of your environment, right? And my
Yeah.
environment was very unhealthy. We were just kids, so a lot of us we just didn't really know any better. And again, products of our environment, what we're around, what we're surrounded by, what we're looking at, what we're watching, what we're listening to, all created
Yes.
the environment that we were living in, and created, what we were doing in our actions. And so, yeah, it was definitely more destructive than supportive, right? I mean, a lot of my
Yeah.
peers, my friends, they would encourage the drinking, they would encourage the sex,
Shot, shot,
yeah,
shot,
they'd
shot.
encourage the sex, they'd encourage the drugs, all of that. So it was all encouraged, and it ultimately was very destructive for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I never loved it like those kids. You remember those kids, the kids that were saying shot, shot, shot. Like, bro, you need to take a shot with me, bro. Like those kids, the ones that were like yelling at the top of their lungs, like, let's take a shot. Those dudes, yeah, they looked like they were having fun, but they were running for something. They were running
Yeah.
from something big
100%.
time. Like for me, when I was going through depression, I always wanted to be one with my pain. I was never a person who liked to numb it. If I was out at the bar hanging out with some friends and a wave of depression hit me, my first thought was, I want to sober up right now. I don't even want none of this. I never wanted there to be a gap between me and my pain. I wanted to know exactly how I was feeling. And the numbing factor of it was like, why are you in the way of me and my problems? Because I don't want to get that rude awakening, which you guys know the feeling, the rude awakening when you sober up and your problems are right back in front of you. Like, yeah, that was fun last
And
night.
they're probably even 10 times more magnified from drinking or blacking out or doing whatever we did the night before. Like, man, my problem's still here. I did all that. Nothing went away.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I was just saying, I want to speak on that because, I was known as the fun guy to be around. I was known as that
Yeah.
wild white boy, right? Like, and
Yeah.
and
White
seriously,
chocolate.
like I was the guy that my friends wanted to go out and drink with and stuff because, I was at times I was kind of fearless and probably did some crazy stuff. And for my friends, it was kind of like entertainment, right? And so I
Yeah.
kept trying to be that entertainment and be that guy, and I constantly was pushing the limits every time, trying to be that guy. But all the while, at the same time, there was a deep pain and suffering inside of me that I didn't know how to speak up about.
So you go through these years where you're going through destruction. What was a point where you hit rock bottom, where you're like, yo, something got to change? this ain't it, Chief.
Hmm.
What was that moment for you? Was it a year? Did you have like a bad year, or like something crazy happened where you're like, I went too far. We gotta do something.
Switch it up. Yeah.
To be honest, I've had probably more rock bottom moments that I can count. I have had multiple rock bottom points. I remember when I was 21 and I got a DUI, and for me, that was a rock bottom. Man, when I was constantly blacking out, drinking every single weekend, and I was blacking out consistently and not even remembering what I was doing. Like that was
Scary.
embarrassing. And it got to a point where I was like, man, this is like
It's like the next morning report where it's like, bro, you were doing this last night, and you're like
what?
What? I was really doing that?
Yeah.
and
That ain't you. That, you know why? Because that's not really you. Like they talk about alcohol as like spirits. Like there's something that happens when we're under the influence. We're under the influence of the substance, but now that we're under the influence, it gives way for us to be something that we're not. I remember in the early days when I used to drink when I was younger, like 18, I used to feel invincible. Like I could do whatever and not get in trouble. Like I could do whatever and nobody was going to stop me. And then you speaking back on you hearing the report from your friends about what you did the night before, you probably look at that like, wow, like that can't be me. Like I don't, that's not the real me. Like, who is that? Right, Cody? Like you've probably went through some times where you're like, yo, that wasn't me. I know that wasn't me.
I'd always call him Jimmy. That's whoever it was. I don't know who it was, but it wasn't me. Because I'd always black out and just
like Shaggy. It wasn't me.
I'd be that cool guy, like you said, Sam. I'd be that cool guy, making everyone laugh, having a great time, and it's like a switch goes off in me when I black out, and it's just, you can't tell me nothing, and I'm just acting a fool, really. But that is scary because, I mean, you're not there when you're acting like that. You know what I mean? And then to wake up the next day, your friends are telling you, "Oh man, you were wilding out. You did this. Yeah, you punched this car. You did that." I'm like, "Oh my God, what?" And then, like I'm wondering why my hand hurts or why I got a knot in my head or like all these different things, and that's scary. That's really scary because, I mean, it could where you get in a fight and you kill someone and then you wake up in a prison or jail cell and you're getting told what happened and it's like, what? You know what I mean?
I know people who have killed people off of a drunken night and they couldn't believe it. Shocked. Went to jail. And it's like, just because you were drinking and you probably weren't that happy that night. To be honest, you probably were just drinking away your problems, and then look how far your depression took you. It took you into a zone that changed your life forever.
Man.
Yeah.
And that's the destruction. Yeah. That's the destruction that alcohol and turning to other devices. Piggybacking off what Sam said is you're not happy. If you're turning to porn, you're not happy. If you're running through every girl down the block, whatever's moving, you're hitting everything that's moving, you're not happy. Like there's no way you're happy. You are not happy. It's not good enough. The high's not high enough. Something needs to be healed inside because it's broken.
You might
Can you speak
might
to that?
seem confident on the surface, right? You might seem confident to other people. You might seem like you got it together and you're a TG, right? Like you're that guy. But you have these insecurities, right? The only reason why you're chasing the next best thing, chasing the next high, chasing the next girl, is because, there are these insecurities. So you're moving from insecurity, right? You're not moving out of confidence. You're moving from this place of insecurity. And it's like on the surface level, it looks like confidence. It looks like, oh, you're that guy. You got it together. You're getting all these women. You're fun to be around, this and that. But it's like, ultimately, it's coming from a place of, there is some pain, there's some suffering there, and there's some type of brokenness there. And I believe that to be the truth.
Yeah, that to touch up on that too, like it was always to me like I grew up loving hip hop, right? What does hip hop promote? You know, sex, money, cars, clothes, and all that. And the more women you have, the you know, cooler you look, or you know, the more notches on your belt. It's like, oh yeah, you know, pound it, or yeah, good job last night. You know what I mean? You got that girl. Like that was always really promoted to me in my mind. So I was like, oh well, that's how I'm supposed to be because that's what the world
Mm.
promotes. Obviously, that's not how you're supposed to be, and there's a lot of
No.
fake stuff out there like that. But it's funny that you mentioned that because it just reminds me of when I was little. I was like, oh, I gotta have
Mm.
more girls. The more girls I have, the cooler I look. The more cooler I look, you know, the more people
Yeah.
like me.
Now, at the
Yeah.
time, I didn't have the emotional intelligence. I didn't have the capacity to understand that it was coming from a place of emptiness, coming from a place of insecurity.
Mm,
I didn't have that
yeah.
awareness that I have now. And so, that's the thing is like anyone who still has a lifestyle like that or similar, I give them grace and meet them where they're at because a lot of the times, again, they're a
Mm,
product of their environment and they may not be aware of the things that they're doing and why they're doing them.
How did you escape the pain of depression and slay the giant
Mm.
of depression?
paint that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm, ooh. Mm,
Thankfully, there's no accident. The car behind you ends up slamming on their brakes in enough time. They created enough distance to where they didn't hit you. There was no accident, and you drive off, right? You think back to like if that would have happened, how bad that could have been, right?
mm, mm,
And you just think about the intensity of those few short moments. Now, eventually, your day moves on, right? And by the end of the day, chances are you probably forget it even happened, right? Now,
yeah.
imagine
Yep.
that those few short moments of intensity, your heart racing out of your chest, right? It doesn't stop. It just continues throughout the day.
Mm,
You have that intensity of those few short moments just continue and persist throughout the day. And you just feel this heaviness, this weight on your shoulders, this anticipation of the worst possible outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just continues
mm,
to go on day after day after day. And I think that that really just captures the essence of what it can feel like in a really deep depression.
And that's that season that
Yeah,
you were going through.
for
And that's a
months,
tough thing where you're at the darkest point
months.
for months and months. I think so. I want to get into how you've been able to maintain just much more of a hold on not letting depression sink you. Because I know for me, the things that work after I've dealt with depression my entire life, since
Mm,
probably 17, definitely by 19, I was
mm,
definitely in a full depression. For me, the things that helped were showing up for other people, When I show up
Mm.
for other people,
Mm.
I become energized. Like if someone's got problems, even though I'm going through the worst time of my life, if someone comes to me with their problems, I feel like my problems disappear. Like I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
come tell me. I got you.
Mhm.
I'll walk with this. I'll walk with you through whatever you're going through. I'm walking with you to the finish line. I got you. I got your back.
Mhm.
Cody and I have had seasons in our life where we were going through it,
Come on.
where we were having hard times and we would just call each other back to back like, bro,
Venting.
what is
Just
going on?
venting.
Vent.
Like, bro, you'll never guess what happened today.
No, the most negative stuff
Yeah.
would happen back to back. And I know if I'm going through something and Cody gives me a call like, bro, I need you to pray for me. We're going through some wild stuff. This is happening in my life. I'm like, bro, I got you. Like, talk to me. Even this morning, Cody was on the phone with me,
Bro, we
talking
were
me
on the
through
phone at
something tough.
6:45. That's how like I can say Sammy's like one of my best bros, man. I never FaceTime nobody at 6:45. Yesterday I
Nah.
missed his call and he needed to talk, and I felt bad because I got home late, and I was like, my bad, bro. And then I was like, man, I'm opening my eyes, I'm getting some coffee, and I'm calling him. We were on the phone 6:45 a.m. getting it.
And that's how you start your day, because
Yeah.
the Bible says this, real quick verse. Bible says, when you refresh others, you will be refreshed.
Mm.
And that is the law. When you help others, you become refreshed.
Yep.
So I know that works for me. Another thing that works for me is one of my friends, somebody I know that's very close to me, my friend Sarah, she was talking about how our bodies will tell us what we need. Basically,
true.
our bodies talk to us. When we're hurting, our body's like, we need this. We need rest. We
Sleep.
need this.
Good
you are run
nutrition.
down.
Yeah.
Yep, good nutrition. The neuroscience of it all.
Ain't
But
that
our
a
bodies
trip?
will communicate to us.
Yeah.
So, Sam, can you talk to us about what's
Yeah.
been working for you
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
and how you
Yeah.
show up for other people as well? Because I know you
First
do
of
that.
all, I think that's so cool that you guys have that type of friendship and really support each other, especially through some difficult times. Because I think that's what real friendship looks like is, you guys are there for each other in the worst times, the best times, fighting for each other, challenging each other, and really pushing each other to be better. And then just honestly just being there as a support system. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so for
Thank you,
myself,
brother.
I ended up seeking out a therapist, right? So I seeked out a therapist.
Therapy is good.
And thankfully, one of the guys, Carlos from Mosaic, he put me on with a therapist, and man, this guy helped save my life. But it wasn't
Wow.
just the therapy, right? I had the therapy, I had the support from family, from friends. I had people in my court that were willing to talk to me during these difficult times and literally sometimes just there to listen. Like wouldn't even say a word, but just there to listen and just be present. And that meant the world to me. And, everyone who was in my corner during that time, you know who you are. And that helped me immensely. But on top of the therapy, I would take notes on my phone or in my journal after every single session. So I was just constantly taking notes because I wanted to deep dive into what we covered over. Everything that we covered, I wanted to go even deeper with it, and I wanted to learn more about myself. So I was so committed to learning more about myself, going deeper, and being able to come out on the other side of it. And I'll never forget a day where it was like a Monday afternoon, and after a session with my therapist, I was taking notes on my phone after our session, and I had this epiphany, right? And the epiphany was basically that in order to break the negative patterns, that cycle that I was stuck in, those negative patterns that I created over the years, in order to break that, I had to create new patterns for myself. I had to take new actions So regardless of how I was feeling in the moment, regardless of my emotions in the moment, I had to make a different choice, right? So I had to choose a
Mm.
different action. I had to choose a different conversation to myself. So I had to change both my internal
Yep.
and my external conversations. There was just one more thing that I wanted to throw in there, which was learning how to love myself unconditionally. Um, I picked up a
Mm,
Hmm.
book called The
that's
Mastery of
good.
Self by Don Miguel Ruiz Jr., his son. And the mastery of self,
Mm.
taking notes and highlighting throughout the book. And that book really helped
Mm,
broaden my awareness and learn more about these philosophies that I started to adopt and learn how to love myself without conditions. And that was a huge, huge, huge pivotal thing for me to break free and have that freedom. Yeah.
That's huge.
I had to
That's
throw that in
huge
there. So.
to learn to love yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
of
Yeah, I
course,
know.
bro.
That was
Of
good.
course.
Now I'm in a position where I believe I have the opportunity to help serve and give back to other men that might be struggling with things that, I was struggling with,
Mm.
and look, still continue to struggle with, right? I haven't reached
Yep.
this place where I got it all together.
Final point.
And so, it's an
Yeah.
ongoing
Yeah.
process. And now I've just learned how to navigate through the emotions, navigate through the pain. And now that I've learned how to navigate, now I can teach those tools and those philosophies to other men and then create a group of men. I think of it like therapy on steroids, right? Like men that are just standing by each other,
Let's
supporting
Yeah.
each other,
go.
loving each other, fighting for each other. And that's what I'm out to create with my men's group. And so I'm
Yes.
super stoked to get that rolling out.
Do you have
Awesome,
a name
bro.
for that?
Yeah, tribe.
I like
You
that,
call your
man.
men's troop tribe? Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
What's that?
You're based out here in Los Angeles.
Yeah. But
That's where
I
you're based.
picture it as being like a worldwide thing.
Mm.
Hmm.
From the start, it'll probably just be LA based or, in the local area. And then I'll
Hmm.
continue to build from there. And I have a huge vision for this. And I mean, this is something that is way deeper and bigger than me.
That's
That's dope.
awesome, bro. What city in LA are you in?
I'm in Hollywood, like Hollywood,
Hollywood.
Silver Lake area. Yeah.
And what's your how can people find you? What's your Instagram name?
Yeah. So Samuel Teresi, last name is Teresi. The handle is __ Teresi 91. And
Let's
that's the
go.
best place to get connected with me. You can find the link in my bio to my website. I also do private personal training. And so, if you want to book a session with me, check out my contact. Please tap in with me, and I'll be happy to converse and connect.
Sam, it was so dope to have you on, brother. Thank you for coming on, being our first guest. More than anything, thank you for sharing your heart with us and your story to inspire others. Um, we're so grateful to have you, man. It's been nothing but a blessing to hear your
Yeah.
story, dude, and just how you've changed and what the mission is now, what you're focused on, bro. I'm proud of you, and I look forward to hearing more from you and working with you, man.
Keep going.
Yeah, I'm truly
Yeah,
honored. Thank you guys for having me on. I appreciate this more than you guys know. And I'm already looking forward to the next episode.
let's go. Like you guys know, it's just another episode, man. We appreciate you guys. The way we grow is through you. We love you guys. Share, like, subscribe. You guys see our reels. You see us growing out there. So we appreciate you guys. And shout out to my boy Daniel Wu. Had to give him a shout out. And we'll talk to you guys soon, man. It's been real, fellas.
Splash.
Splash.